that, just a few quick things. After this show, whenever it ends, probably sometime around 8, there will be a stand-up show with a 5-minute intermission for people to get out, do stuff, pee, whatever. Then you come back in, watch stand-up. Awesome and great. After that, we will be having show voting. So yeah, with the FET. You can tell we will be pitching a show at show voting, so make sure you come out and support them. Any member of FET is welcome to vote. If you aren't sure if you're a member of FET, ask somebody.
Maybe ask the president?
You can ask me. I'm the somebody. Next weekend, sketch and improv joint show. Weekend. It'll be super fun. Make sure to come out for that too. And last but not least, remember, no drinking in the black box. Never gets old. All right. Waxy poetry.
Greetings, travelers. Hello. Welcome to the diner at the edge of the universe, where we have many poems to share. We're so excited to have you all out here tonight for our very last show. So thank you so much. It's been a wonderful year with all of you listening and snapping along with us. So give yourselves a round of applause.
Basically, our only rule is if you hear a line you like, you can give it a snap or a polite golf clap, or stomp your feet. I don't really care.
For our introductions today, we're tagging everyone with whatever liminal space we think we find them in, or what we think they represent. So our first poet is Naya. Give it up! Weird-ass cupcake store from the mobile app that you play.
It's called Orange Cooking, and it's not Candy Crush, I swear to God. I do not represent my planet, and my planet does not represent me. It wasn't late-stage capitalism, fast fashion, or fascism, or whatever systems were in place. I was me before I became me, and you were you, I assumed, before we met. And we met in line and did an awkward dance because we couldn't tell who was first or last, and by the time we had the courage to ask the waitress, assumed that we were like together, so I probably shouldn't have dressed up. The only thing that connects us is loss and the desperate grief of it. I walked and used slippers because neither of us had the chance to get a license or maybe legs, and we sat down on opposite sides to give ourselves space, and because the waiter would only pressure us into intimacy if we were forced into the same booth. I was scared of you before I knew who you were, and at the time I didn't have the words to apologize for that. The only thing we assume of each other is violence, and the only foreign concept I know is peace. When I first stumbled upon the edge of the universe, and by stumbled I mean shot up from an overgrown and endless test tube, I thought I had been lucky. You see, I was always striving to fill more space than I took up, and reasonably suffering from the failure of it. But the temptation of space was unimaginable, because my favorite color was still yellow, and my grandma was still dead, and I was still pretending to be bisexual, and nothing seemed like it was going to change. Nothing could fill space, and so there was no way I could be nothing. So I dressed up to be somebody at the edge of the universe instead of nobody on the train to nowhere address of near White Plains. But then I had to sit next to you, and we'd never seen anything like each other before, so I was something, but the wrong was something, and nothing was almost preferable. I mean, I'd expel the chemicals you breathe, and we're not the same, but in a way where we maybe could be the same and share some of the closest ways we could possibly be. We're like trees, so we order what we need, respectively. You cannot make a nationality of my dish, and I cannot make a rationality out of you. An impasse over fries, over the width of our eyes, the complexity of these lies, and the vacancy of your truths. I do not know how to love you, but I cannot stomach the hate. So we wait. And we share a booth, a table, a branch to perch and observe, and I try to see in you what I've grown to already understand. And we swallow and eat what was initially too hard to chew. We don't look at each other's plates and count calories or meals, but bellies full and grateful, until primary tastes are all that are left with, and so there's nothing secondary to follow. And I had never been someone's first before, not in any selfless way that had mattered. So when I thought you asked if I wanted a bite, I said yes before I could stop myself. I tried to see you for what you've shown me, sea green and containing the anal truth of what it's like to want to share despite the blindness, holding the value of kindness to a struggle for open-mindedness until it's just me and you in a stuffy booth. The only thing that connects us is the capacity to care and the desperate need of it. we do not make sense, but we must. For example, when the waitress translated that I didn't mean to make a face when your pores ooze something similar to beef sticks and that I couldn't actually help it, that I couldn't stomach beef sticks the same way I can't stomach the truth, that I really can't be existential no matter how hard I try, because I haven't learned enough yet. And Dear replied that what can only be translated into my language as a sequence of boobs and beaks, but with less porous beef sticks than usual. Just so that I can look at you in a second. I do not represent my planet, but I can represent me, and I can only assume the same for you. We do not make sense, but I will trust you, and if you're free after this, and I muster up the courage to stay and say thank you, I'd love if someone would give me a tour.
Next we have Chris. I'm gonna get used to that. We said that Chris would be on a solitary mountain having withered the winds of time.
There is power in words. Greater than any spell's effect is what lingers when the magic dissipates. When the gale has ceased, the mountain range erodes, the waves get absorbed, and the flames are sated in their sunken gray stupor. It's all the same. Mana borrowed and repurposed before it is returned to its original state of being, just being. And you, child, are but a single thread woven into this whole enveloping tapestry of everything. That was the first lesson my master imparted in me, the only answer she would ever give. For to be a magician means seeking for yourself, so I did. Watching the fae in flight, I found myself in the birds, in the crystallized tears of a chimera. I heard the silent wish to have never been born. I've given myself to specters, and been an instrument of solace and vengeance alike, all the while never knowing the satisfaction said to come from another sadism. Never knowing that loss in the feeling of a coin pouch, leaving their hand and entering mine. If only it were the shared appreciation of velvet softness, akin to holding an entire field or 40 acres in your palm, that the gold inside might have afforded you some time ago, but no more. Then I might be able to sympathize. If only my patron's grief wasn't measured in yellow rocks. He pays me with such because he has nothing else to give, and I am not so kind as to deprive myself of water simply because my patron prefers wine. His payment means as much to me as the ore the miner scraped, and the yellow the minter's pressed to replicate Citrinitas. For I already possess the rubeto substance that extends a life and would make an atheist a Midas. The capitalist still has much to learn about me. Not that I'm looking for students. I only accept his payment to part him from his wealth and to scratch a fetish of mine. My master couldn't expel the malice from my blood any more than the miser is expected to free the sun from his vault. So when the black fog approaches, all we can do is wait for the clouds to pass. My master is the spawn of a dryad and a lesser deity's grandson. Once a consort of kings, then a wandering healer. She slept with corpses in soil beds, conversed with the trees, struck peace between elves and mind flayers, and postponed winter by a day with a song. But she was a blizzard storm when I met her, turf and cold. She was an isle of peace without vegetation, and as her student I was marooned in her care by an ill fate and the unfortunate awakening of my powers. By the age of 7, I had been a thief, a heretic, everything but a devil spawn, but that's only because they didn't know who my father was, nor did my mother. So she suffered as women do for knowing what she ought not to know and not knowing what she had no way of knowing, whereas what I know now I have no way of telling. Instead, all there is to say is that I call another woman mother. In total, my master gave me 4 things, discounting food and lodging, 1 lesson, 1 warning, 1 gift, and 1 word of farewell. She said spatial magic has the potential to tear this tapestry of being, because while the other magics follow the flow of mana and redirected streams, the hands of elementals and other mages still are guiding the thread through the loom. Spatial magic, by contrast, cuts the tapestry while it's being made or steals the yarn completely. There is a limit to everything, and infinitude is an illusion of taking what already exists and inverting it upon itself manifold, until the heads of timeless letters swing like a pendulum. Spatial magic is the force that makes the artist lift their pen, breaking a single line drawing and turning a circle into an open shape. Earth magic and masonry build bridges from the resources in reach, but what I do, I take the world completed and place it beneath my feet, a vacuous creature, absorbing everything in sight, sending whatever I touch elsewhere, never starving, never full, incomplete, and so covetous. I'm a black hole. a well-geared weaknesses, a smiling abyss with amnesia on the tongue. The easiest way to keep a secret is to hear nothing and forget what you were told. While there is no cosmic work to be traced, feigning no knowledge is a form of sympathetic magic. And what is a magician if not well studied? Peering into the glass moon, a window into the beyond, I traced the tail of a comet, seeing something else slither across the sky, a serpent made of space dust and ice gazing back at me. Fleeing state, the celestial Leviathan makes its escape.
Give it up for your final appearance, Mary! Your shoes are amazing. Woo! We would find Mary in a 7th grade science lab.
I don't know whether or not to be offended by that, but... There's a diner at the edge of the universe. I, for one, was not surprised when I happened upon its nondescript doors. I've learned to love all that's familiar, despite how strange it seems. The line, or lack thereof, between memory and a dream. The peace of times and places, wholly timeless and or placeless. The universal understanding found in almost liminal spaces. And you know, I've been looking for a long, long time. Crisscrossing the cosmos in search of a system, a key, a methodology to make sense of everything I've seen. I'm a librarian. or I was. The preservation of knowledge, organization of data points and dreams alike, that's my mandate. If anyone could solve this universe, it would be one of us. But here, at what is both the singular limit and only one of infinite diners, dive bars, rest stops, and gas stations that form one continuous scene at the edge of the universe, only here did I realize I'd been searching for something superfluous. A system that won't exist despite our insistence that it must. There's no Dewey Decimal 2.0 to explain the world we know. An encyclopedic view of the cosmos would only implode into its own pages, a black hole, a Tower of Babel for this brazen galactic age. The key I need is here, simple universal sentimentality. We're all the same, all worlds alike, and yet no constellation, though it shares its stars, is truly identical to another. You step into one diner, you visited them all, but step into another, and the edge of the universe calls. No amount of searching will help me parse this paradigm, despite my desire for order, for logical data, and linear space-time. Though I know all that I need to, I can't quite reach infinity, let alone categorize it. There will always be more boots to slouch in, coffee to choke on, blorts to blort. I know them all. I don't know any. But I'll be damned if I don't keep looking for a long, long time.
With the carpeted seats that have all of the like twirly little rainbows.
Well, you're not going to believe how I got here. I've had a rather shitty day. Let me explain. Like all things, I'm begging to be haphazard. Much like the space where dust gathers, much like the sun splattered across your back, much like the uneven lather making your hands cracked and dried. I try to leave home on time. Untied, I run out, breakfast on my face, trying to make the A train by 8. Yet again late, yet again set upon my ways, creating an arrangement of symmetry, sympathy, something. So I stepped onto the platform, and in that exact moment, the image before me doubles, then triples, then multiplies into the most kaleidoscopic of gyrations. The train is coming towards me, and away from me, and adjacent to me, and the train is negotiating with me, and telling me a great place to get a foe in the village. And I'm slipping on banana peels, and brushing my teeth with broken bristles, and I'm caught between bureaucratic heartbeats in some way. I must have paused to imagine all the water flowing into New York City for us to drink and bathe in, and all the documents on everyone's computers, and every floating number breathing in and out of us, and I've clearly broken something. So now I'm gliding at either 1,000,000 miles an hour or 2 feet per year into an empty space. I open my eyes to see a half-dozen Martian faces. Aliens! Their eyes, millennial beach-themed living room blue. Their hair reminded me of the multiplicity of direction. They seemed excited. One of them immediately pulled out his DVD collection. The other one wore a Patriots hat, a Yankees jersey, and a Warriors t-shirt. Only when I came to my senses did I realize the Eagles were playing really loud in whatever room I was in. They all seemed rather usual to me. I've seen far more absurd things in the past 5 years. The one in the middle spoke first, because he's the one who had an Xbox, and that's how I understood the power arrangement to function. And he said this, he told me, Liam, there's so much you don't know. About the data in your mind, the organs in your soul, about the past 10,000 years and how it's all repeating, about the thoughts within your head and how they have no meaning. You landed here by chance, because it's chance that rules it all, and now it's time for you to win humanity's free fall. The world you know is black and white, it's pixels on your screen. It's your eternal burden now to find out what it means. The world is yours to conquer, it's yours to show disdain. You are the agents, all the rest are pictures in your brain. Detach, let nothing faze you, stand upon your hill. No soul, no heart, no mind is sharper than your will. America was built on blood. The world on war so hard. It's time to see the universe is right in your backyard. I said, are you done? They said, yeah. I said, I'm hungry. Do you have any food? They said, no, not for you. When the diatribe was done, they kicked me out the vacuum door to float around. So now, I'm begging to be haphazard, floating half-assed, pathless, untethered, unfastened. Any attempt to flee the cosmos from its abstraction falls flat on its ass. Perhaps this is exactly what they had in mind. Silent detachment. In my left hand, the discovery of fire. In my right hand is the rapture. And everything between is rolled eyes and uneasy laughter. The queasy master, now ad astra per aspera, unflattered, underwhelmed by the fact of the matter and the fact of matter. Alas, I'm still hungry. It's always a solid explanation when I get like this. The closest place was this one. The closest place for 80 million miles. So sat down, ordered the Eggs Benedict, which they don't call it Eggs Benedict anymore. Now they call it Eggs David Cross. Benedict must have felt chips. And as I ate, I finally realized those aliens are fucking losers. See, I am begging to be had, much like the locking of eyes, the dropping of the Y for the what comes next, putting independence of mind to the test and watching it fry and fester faster than French fries covered in Frenches. This is the best damn Eggs David Cross I've ever tried, and it's all because of you guys, flying a million miles an hour out of the trenches of my mind, and finally arrived. Let me be nothing but what I am to you and to myself, and let the rest of the universe wait in line whilst we dine. I want to be part of some grand trick, some joke I'm not in on, and don't want to be. Let me be loved and loved and loving, and all the suffixes and gerunds, and then, just then, I may be full. Claw machine stuffed animals.
Well. Well, it's been years. You have no idea what it's like out here. My bones ache and there's space dust spilling out of my boots. And a few months back, my loyal steed, Sally Mae, she injured her leg carrying me away from some no-good space bandits back on planet 2XE. And well, she hasn't ridden the same since. Well, I've been in love before, yeah. I've seen 1,000 sunsets on 1,000 separate horizons. I've seen places where 1,000 sunsets all at once. And once, when I was young, the entirety of the universe grabbed me by my collar and kissed me. And I never looked back. Out in Wyoming, way back when my chin didn't even come to my mama's chest. Even way back then, I was learning how to tie a knot of a lasso, handle business in a 6-shooter. Out late in the field with the cattle, under the wide stretch of sky you've ever seen. Night isn't black, it's technicolor. And I was sitting astride my Sally Mae with my neck bent toward that wide technicolor universe. And I swore there and then that I would die standing up. There's something out there. There's a big, huge paintbrush that someone holds up, and they're using it to touch across the fabric of the universe. And I've got to see how, and I've got to know why. And yeah, I can say that. A licking a promise above snakes and ace high. I knew who right way to hold a scratching or anything. When they told me I could get out there into that big wide beyond, get out there into those immortal cosmos and gesticulate with the hows and the whys, well, I said, partner, I'm all ears so long as you let me bring my Sally Mae. Well, I've made mistakes. I've been the hand that fed me. I danced too close to the edge, and once Sally Mae and I got stranded somewhere where everyone had 7 arms and 4 legs, and of course, even with all those extra extremities, still no one knew the proper way to polish a saddle. It was all due to my own darn incompetence, these pickles I fed us into, but you know my sweet Sally Mae never held that against me. No. Yeah, well, I've been all right. Sometimes, I can't remember my own name, or my own mom's face. I know she had that gray hair and those gray eyes, but when I try to focus too hard, the particulars get all fuzzy and out of focus, like when you're riding through the black trail too fast and the dirt kicks up and sticks to your eyes. Yeah, sometimes I can't remember who I was, back out under that wide, Wyoming sky, or what I wanted, or even the right way to hold a scratching rake. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what my name is, or was, or whatnot, but by hook or by crook, I was gonna get my Sally Mae out here, and we were gonna see the world, and I mean really, see the world, every particle, planet, and star. And well, we ended up here, the edge of the universe, good fries and better company. By that I mean people leave you the hell alone, because I gotta focus when I'm trying to pick out the feet on my Sally Mae food. And plus, you know, they're animal friendly here too, which is nice, because if they weren't, someone's gonna end up on the business end of my 6-year. You know what? It was actually here. It was right here at the edge of the universe. It was here that it hit me. I had just finished my 2nd order of space sugar fries, and I was staring out at the widest sky you've ever seen. And then out here, it's always Technicolor night, and it's always hard to remember, and it's always hard to forget. And so I got right up off on that bench outside the edge of the universe, and I strolled on over to my Sally Mae, where she waited with all the other cars and ships and doodads. And well, I took my Sally Mae's face in my hands, and you know, my hands are rough, warm, cowboy hands, but you know, my Sally Mae don't mind that none. Well, anyways, I took my Sally Mae's face in my hands, and I told her, Sally Mae, you are the fabric of the universe.
Once saw 4 billboards on the outskirts of the universe. The first one was past the Kuiper Belt, turned left at the Oort Cloud and straight on towards tomorrow. It was a curious thing, this Technicolor board, and I only saw it for but a moment as I flew past, late for an appointment on Delta M92. Sprockets and mechanical imagery lined the rectangular design. It flashed. The Do Everything Fix-a-Mulligan's Tool. And it featured a very buff Grabarian flexing his 8 muscular tentilons and grinning like a proud predator. As it flashed from my peripheral, I wondered, what use had I for a Do Everything Fix-a-Mulligan's tool? And when everything that needed fixing was immaterial. Could the Fix-a-Mulligans fix my impossibly brash nature or overly assertive personality? And how about my relationships with friends gone by? The rust out sign glinted in the rear of my machine, just like the last 4 years of my life, and pondered a possibility. The Do Everything Fix-a-Mulligan's tool was obsolete and unused, not because not everything needs fixing, but perhaps the imperfections are perfectly fine. I think so, at least for me. The second billboard featured a voluptuous Venetianite, not to be confused with the surly residents of Venus, but of minor planet 487 Venetia with a dual spin rotational axis. The Venetianite was beautiful by any metric, of beauty, alluring eye holes, upturned fringe knots, and the provocative man-bells, her long, purple, and ochre fingers undoing Orion's belt. The universe is big enough for all of us, with a wink. It read, with a golden condom held in the air, the universe shone just inside within the opening. And I've come to realize that many and most will fall into the same black hole as Orion because they forget to check the Venetian iceberg teeth down there. Where, in some cases, the bite can be worse than the bark. The third billboard heralded the dawn of a new savior. Electric lights flashing bounced off of the luminescence of surrounding stars. In a yawping capitalistic announcement, it read as follows. Repent! Sorry. The implosion of the universe is near, and only the chosen few will ascend to the next iteration. We warned, all else will be reduced to stardust. An asteroid rubble. And salvation could be yours for the low, low price of 1,800 rubles a month. My mother once bought into a televangelist channel and threw away my college savings at his similar slogan. His smile reeked of lies and greed and regret at missed calls from his children. And suddenly, I'm 6 at my mother's speed as she flips through the TV stations, past space cowboys and Jacobian frivolity, and lengthy commercials for diners that skirt the edge of the universe, famous for wart. And my fingers are raw from tugging at the soggles, and the carpet has worn thin under my mother's spinning chair. You'd think at this point in time that they would have found a solution for carpet holes. I found myself pulling at the carpet fibers and pulling as the telepreacher yells, bye, 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 and my mother throws away my college tuition at our teletube, and I haven't heard from the neighbor's cat in weeks. And the telepreacher yells, bye, 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 my mother gives away all of our Pringles, throwing my family into debt, and I don't realize that I've torn a hole in the carpet at the foot of my mother's chair. Yet for some reason, the bye, 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 and the end is nigh was all that it took to read 16 numbers off the back of titanium rectangles. Yes, titanium rectangles. Anyways, the fourth was an advertisement for a Long John Silver somewhere past Jupiter's rings. And now, a word from our sponsor.
My spaceship like my natural selection. Buy this spaceship buy this natural selection. This spaceship fits in the black hole. Archimedean spiral. It's in Archimedean curve. I'm in 10, 2, 19, and 5. I see moons crumple up like dead spiders. I see Archimedes paint the sun. I see chemical space jam. I've seen your chemicals dirt. I've seen your spaceship, spaceman. I've heard your chemicals spurt. I saw you land on this rock like you did no shit. Not to step on this turf, not to step in this spot. Now your shit's getting rocked. I'm creeping up slow while you're taking a piss, and I team in a lot, and I creep in your ship, and I fiddle around, and I type in your shit.
Yeah!
Self-destructive. On startup, and I creep out and watch while I order a beer or some intergalactic shit. I step inside, I sip this sweet nectar. Combust, dirty spaceman. Combust.
Well, we gotta pay the bills, so
Now we have some advertising.
it's gonna work.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry, guys.
Please stand by.
I have my and then do you need the audio? Okay, thank you. Sorry. Guys, everybody give a round of applause for our tech person, Dana.
We don't hear this bad spot. Like, we're going in the red. Okay, Thank you, Damian.
Thanks, Naya.
Oh no, what's that? The little horsey got her Woody Block. Every space cowboy birthday hat got Woody Block. Figures today, Cowboy John is facing for you. So many people.
I'm from Connecticut.
Guys, that was so fun.
Next up, with a big hand to my co-captain, Kate. Cartoons? You ever seen Charlie Brown's Little Room in the red chair where he's like, say, yeah, hey, Katie, that's what he
So this is a type of poem called an ars poetica, so it's about poetry or like a form of poetry or widespread poetry. I met God at the edge of the universe diner. It was kind of an accident, actually, and an indeterminate point with my sojourn through space and time and other grand schema. Even with infinite possibility ever expanding at my fingertips, I still found myself longing for a weak cup of coffee with half and half and 2 sugars. And so, after a bargain with my alien publicist Helene European III and my driver Bob, we pulled our hyperspeed USA coach bus off the last exit before Galaxy GN-Z11, and I, having survived the terrifying ordeal of being launched into nothingness in a big white spacesuit that did absolutely nothing for my figure, tethered myself to the metal handle of the big glass doors of an almost abandoned establishment blinking into existence. And through the twinkle of doorbell, the hiss of my oxygen tank, and a polite, just one please to the disaffected Martian waitress, found myself lumbering towards a holographic counter with shiny red stools, to a menu set 1 seat down to a man in neat workroom clothes, broad-shouldered and good-natured and clean-shaven, and smelling of pine and gasoline, sharp elbows framing a ceramic plate with a bloody strip steak, 2 eggs over easy, well-done home fries, a fresh baked biscuit smothered in jam, and coffee so oat black you never catch a glimpse of your reflection no matter how hard you try to think about it. And as I took my seat, squeaky and awkward, he turned to acknowledge me, and I couldn't explain it, but somehow I knew it was him. The instantly recognizable quality of the upturn of the left corner of his smile, the way his hands moved with precision towards his napkin and cutlery. Well, that, and he had a big patch that read G-O-D in thick embroidered cursive writing. We sat in silence for a few minutes. God chewing noiselessly, me tapping my fingers on imaginary marble to the tune of percolation as the waitress struggled haplessly with a plastic tin of Folgers, and as the absence of noise like TV static sharpened in my ears with a comfortable promise, I found myself surprised by the boldness of my own voice. Hey, this is probably really weird, but do I know you from somewhere? I turned and God had looked up from his plate with familiar intention, studying me for a moment. I was expecting he'd ask that. He paused, tongue pressed to the roof of his mouth in quiet contemplation. I tend to get that a lot. Would you happen to have a point of reference? Oh, sorry, not one in particular. I looked away in embarrassment. It's strange, but I kind of always thought I'd find you here, actually. My friend Max has this theory that diners are the closest thing to a secular religious space in America. Ritual, dependability, butter packets, the whole thing. It's just, well, you're God, aren't you? So they've come to call me, he shrugged, and there it was again, that grin. You know, every time I think I finally traveled to a corner of the universe, only I can reach one of you relentless fuckers comes to find me. At the gas station, this guy from the Andromeda Galaxy accosted me and said I owed him $20,000 he blew on a pod racing tournament, just because he prayed he would win. Can you believe that? That used to be my favorite part. The stories you all told about me to keep yourselves company, but yes, it's really me, at least as much as you can understand at the moment. I'm sure you have many questions about the secrets of existence and creation and all the angels and saints, but I'm kind of on my lunch break, so we can keep this to 5 minutes now. The waitress placed a steaming hot cup next to my hands, and I reached delicately for the silver tin of half and half. God gets a lunch break? I'm actually doing a stint as a delivery driver, God nodded, passing me a half-filled cylinder of Domino sugar. It's hard to get fresh eggs this far out of the cosmos, but someone has to do it. It's easier this way, where no one can find me. Well, where I thought no one can find me. He laughed, punching my shoulder. So what are you doing out here, interrupting my precious sabbatical? I cleared my throat. Oh, well, it's kind of embarrassing, actually. I'm a professional writer, you see, but I'm on tour with the Intergalactic Federation of Entropy Management to debut a new poem they commissioned celebrating the efficiency of the first artificially created black hole that's supposed to suck up some leftover energy over in UTC 12158. I speak at, like, space conferences and space universities and space readings at independent space bookstores, but I'm kind of over it, you know? Like, when I was a kid, I always thought if I was going to go up to space, it would be to save the world, which is maybe self-involved, but it was what I really believed. But I packed that stuff up a long time ago. I was too concerned with the logistics of it all, and I was never tall enough to be an astronaut anyway. But you're here now, he countered, taking a sip of his coffee. Well, yeah, I said, if it was the first time I'd really heard that information. Yes, I am. He considered this for a moment. I think I understand, he said, placing his mug on the counter. It's been nice for me too, the change. The whole being God thing has made me weary for quite some time now. Knowing everything, being everything, I mean everything. To hold truth and principle in both of my hands. That's no easy way to carry, and I don't mean to complain. But everyone is always asking me the how and why and what they are. And normally I'd indulge you, I mean, I'm partial to Adam and Eve and other useless constructs. And my favorite, actually, I heard in a philosophy class back in my sophomore year of college from the Greeks. That we shaped you all from clay to have 4 arms and legs, and then decided you looked really fucking stupid, so we cut you straight down the middle, and we were able to deliver your supposed other half. And he laughed then, one arm folded over his chest. Oh, that one's great. But he grew serious, dropping his fork with a sudden cry. Normally I wouldn't tell anyone this, but it's starting to get old. It wasn't real to them anymore. They wanted a justification, always begging and scraping for permission to do things they wanted, to know if there was something more. There was no trust in it. The burden of proof was always in my hands, and I could not reach them, not really in any literal sense of meaning, so I had to go for a time, not that I couldn't ever really leave. You wouldn't understand if I tried to explain, just that packing boxes and chasing stars does little to block out the rising tides of billions and billions of desires, that great unifying wave reverberating through, well, everything I am, and to never really know my own. He looked at me then, accusatory and severe. You must want to know too, don't you? The truth. I see it in you. Oh, well, I guess I was never really satisfied by Genesis. I conceded. Like, I don't think I would be shaped from a rib, a collarbone maybe, or a femur, or something more substantial, but no, I guess I got what you're saying, yeah. I knew you wanted to be a real poet, said God intently, not looking away. Oh, that, I laughed nervously. Yeah, I had to go at some point too, the job market today. We don't have to get into it, you probably already know why already. God took a sip of his coffee. Well, sometimes it's nice to admit things to yourself aloud. I thought this would be good for me, I said, being out here seeing things for what they really are. You know, when I first started out, I wrote a lot about space, but I didn't have anything real to turn to then. It was the possibility that one day I could know if only I wanted to. But now that I'm out here, well, I'm not sure it was for the right reasons. It's just a space to pass through for a moment of time, and now I know something real enough to miss it. Light travels through here, but there's nowhere for it to reflect really the way I knew. I miss the trees and new life all around me, the crocus blossoms peeking up from the earth at the first sign of spring, and when I would walk home, the way the apartment buildings would rise up from the ground like they were making the sky. All there is here is nothing all the time. I just don't think my heart is in it anymore. Why did you leave? He asked suddenly, if you knew it was the wrong choice. I think I was scared to be wrong. You see, I don't like thinking in the abstract. I like straight lines and the concrete forms of things, harmonies and threes and righteous desire. And I want to write the truth, but I think I'm still too afraid to say it. So here I am, always repenting, begging to be forgiven for something I have not done wrong. My power makes me afraid. It's too heavy. I don't want it. I got into this business because I wanted to be important and I wanted it to mean something. And I dress it up in colors and words I only really half understand and draw connections because I want you to see the world exactly as I do. This life I stumbled into and all the shades of feeling and generosity and inherent goodness, I don't understand it, but I feel it all the time. It's always you. Everyone else gets implicated, but is that fair with me? It's a pale imitation of the real thing, and I'll never admit it the way I move around it without giving it a name. If I can't put it to right, if I put it as anything, it's not really my decision to make anymore. And then God looked at me, eyes swirling in marbled gray and urgency, and he took me by the shoulders and he said, listen, kid, maybe there's a universe where you say all these things out loud, and you always get what you want, and you're flawlessly selfless apart, and you never get spinach in your teeth or forget to get something at the store, and everybody gets the joke, and everybody really likes you, but this here, now, is your world, the balance of your decisions and your inactions. You will have overdue library books and oil stains on your shoes, and you'll bum too many cigarettes, and you'll have to do the dishes in the sink that aren't yours, and you will let people hurt you because it feels good to be useful, and you too will hurt in your withholding and in knowing, but time and time again, love will come to save you if only you would let it. Do you think I have any hand in your choice to believe you try fate, but I can't decide a thing for you? Sometimes I wonder if your people actually know what faith is. All I've ever known is that I've been here and everything else took shape around me, whether it was of my own making or I just fell into it, and still I have made a way out of everything in front of me, even if I don't really have the answer because I know you. No matter your smallness, I will always, always know you, and I am still a part of the place that you came from, the place where we will always be a part of you. And God reached out his other arm through the flashing screen of the diner windows, and I followed his gaze, and there it was, the real edge of the universe, my life unending, unfolding through the many windows and doors I crossed to get where I was now. And then I was back in Colin's apartment on New Year's Day, the smell of Earl Grey and tofu bacon wafting through the creepy frame as Siobhan entered with an armful of kitchen mugs. Mia, Erin, and Riley still fast asleep in a collage of couch and air mattress, as the clouds parted in snow over Lake Champlain, blew by the same wind that howled in our ears on Mount Beacon. Jacob, Liam, Abby, Thomas, Bridget, and I filmed exactly and true by rusted metal bars that gave us the whole of the Hudson Valley, far and wide from the Catskills, back to the same city I held on to for dear life as Sophia, Abby, Nicole, Aya, Dorothy, JC, and I swayed back and forth in the game train, light moving through the closing doors, sterile and pure. The same brightness in the hospital I saw my mother hold my sister as a baby for the first time. On the same street my father drives me home, with the same view of the mountains behind Toby's room, where the sun set warm and we spun sound and color. And he still had a loft bed for Sophia, Laura, and I, cramming limbs and bumping knees, DeGelle jumping into my arms, now alone and folded in my lap on the BX Walk to Inwood, passing through the same neighborhood where my grandmother was a teenage girl, thick black hair and wool skirt racing against the wind. Ruler marks hardened on her red knuckles, waiting to cross the street, wondering if she knows the scope of what is yet to come. To think of all the pain I have yet to know, now stoned in my palm, smooth, flat, mulling it over as Julia, James, and I stand on the shore of Montauk, watching the sun rise over the edge of our world. And I want to say, isn't it funny the center of being is something we can't really look at, but we still try anyway, just to know love? Like when I was a child and I'd wake up to the sound of bird call in the school bus and know when I pulled back the curtains to look out my window, the street would be exactly as I left it the night before. The telephone wires and edges of the rooftops pressed against the sky in a natural order of my corner of the world that I created. The corner of the world I'd always come to know. And it was then I finally remembered where I had seen him before. That God had the face of my friends. But when I turned back, there was nothing there. Fork and knife abandoned in haste, yolk and fat and crumbs, arranged in a perfect unending spiral, dregs pressed gently to the bottom of his mug. And there was the waitress handing me the letter of the bill in one smooth, sympathetic motion, saying, "Sorry, but my boss said someone's got to pay for it and you're the only one still here." I turned to her post behind the counter, watching space Instagram reels and texting her space friends. And so, bracing myself for the damage, I laughed and laughed and laughed, keeling over in that empty restaurant, another grand cosmic revelation that God had stuck me on the bill. My hand clutched the receipt, which he wrote in small ink letters, "Thank you. Heaven is the place where everybody walks you home." Oh, we said Charlotte would be in Croatia.
That's my birthday! Come on. Settle down. Alright. This isn't the same New York, old friend. Love is dead and sex is dead too. Take it out back and put it down. More sex. Single dog. New York isn't even the same place it was when I lived, and it's less lonely, but it's all chewed up and spit out, and life lost most of its sweetness to the hellish bite of the cynics and poets that I took to bed when I got my first tea crinkle. Love is a waste of time when you're a woman and an artist. No one will ever love you enough to put your art right. Lay at the feet of the man that kicks you and look up his skirt, and then you will make great art and write great poems. Read and vomit on your work, drink black coffee until you're violently ill, the whole pot of it, the whole pot. Would you believe me if I told you I was one of the fates? First, the one that fed, second, the one that wove, third, the one that killed, and then I was cut from the team and replaced with someone younger and hotter. Then, I was hired on as a social pariah, as the devil's homely reception
receptionist, and I said, never mind at all. I can feed my own wool and weave my own socks and cut my own ties, and I can look up the skirts and beautiful dark hair men and take Love's beating alone and again and pretend I like the way it feels. I can whisper prayers into loving hands, and I can fall asleep in my sweaty bed all by myself, and I can call it happiness. Would you believe me if I told you I wasn't a cynic? I must remember this at home. I'm just not going to cry over all that nonsense any longer.
Give it up for Reese! Breaking Bad, but you don't have to, but you would be a fry cook of los pollos hermanos.
Nobody quite understands how quiet it gets out here. For the past millennia, the place has been empty, and I've been holed up in the darkest corner of the darkest room. The fan was blowing hot air in my face, smelled space fries on my skin, and there was breeze lingering. The radio was wailing the same old song by the Temptations, and I was cooking for no one. I got this job when I was straight out of luck, and no one understands the sense of desperation out here. I'm from a town maybe 20 light years away called Temptations, because the founders like to fly a little too close to the sun. And my old house is on the corner of the planet Desire and the comet alone, and there's a cloud of dark matter lingering on my street that never quite worked up the courage to stay. And now that we're on the subject, I bet you're wondering about my face, and you shouldn't stare. You know, I'm the only one that made it off the planet before the lingering, and I hope you know it's rude to stare out here. And I hope you know we're standing on the corner of something called love, and right now, both of us are too stubborn to move, but you are the woman named Temptation. I always paid first, but I didn't learn that until he coursed through me the first time, temptation, and I've always been a weak man, but at least I've always been faced in stone. But after I met you, I never wanted to be alone, smoking on this street corner, watching tourists pump the gas on my brake. And the only one who seems to know what the fuck is going on out here. And I know you wanted to see me before you left because you haven't spoken to me. And I won't see you. I don't bend to the gravity spinning in my mind. I will show you that those thoughts I have lingering, the dreams I have about you, they're nothing. I am the man who resists temptation. I am the man who has always and will always stay here in the dark spot between Mercury and Venus, where I faced my makers and they told me that you would be the one to drive me to sin. The proverbial Egypt who believed in that trap, they said I'd be cornered, and I say that nobody drives me into a corner. You stayed for a while, waiting to talk to me, and then you lingered on out, and I've always been the one who met this temptation and stood his ground. In my dreams I face you, and you'll never quite understand how quiet it gets out here.
Okay, this is a poem that, this is a poem that I wrote for my little brother. He's 17. His name's Noah. Noah, you always joke about my height. I don't usually tell you about my day, but today I stared at the edge of the universe and I knew what smallness meant. The earth spread out below me, sped away, and the countdown began. T-minus 10. Noah, have you started drinking coffee since I left? Today, the moon looked at me kind and cold like the ice pack that the nurse always gives you for your scraped knee in grade school. 9. Today, the moon asked me what I regretted. I started with the fact that I forgot my business casual, then with my resume left in my dorm, and after a while, I just sat there saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Noah, you were not the first thing that I named. But I don't even know what I was applying for. I squeezed my eyes shut, and through the leftover pinpricks of light, it was 8 in the morning. The sun was rising, my childhood was long gone. Your feet creaked down the stairs, Minecraft booting up on our parents' TV. I stare at the void and this is what I see. 7. I don't want the universe in my hands. We played in survival, each fight through laughter, sprawled out on the scratchy red carpet light years away. Mom got rid of that yesterday. Noah, do you remember when our sharpest words meant nothing at all? 6. When Mom and Dad came downstairs, I turned the TV off. I am your sister until I hear their footsteps. I don't know what I was applying for. I don't know where I were. crush themselves just to keep shining, but I did. I gathered my business casual, I wrote my resume, and when your footsteps stopped decorating the stairs, all I said was sorry, sorry, sorry. 5. I don't know where I learned that stars form cores of iron before they explode, but they do. I don't know why I killed the mice on Venus to try and chase the sun. Noah, what on earth got into me? Noah, do you remember when our sharpest words meant nothing at all? I wanted the sun, and now I'm here asking the moon what it was all for. Noah, the universe is clogged with possibilities that rob the air, enough to rob the air from our lungs, and yet none of them can give me the words that I need. I am your sister, the poet, until I must say this all to you. 3. I don't want the universe in my hands. The moon asked me what it was that I wanted. I stood scraping my knee under the table and demanded one more morning with just us two. I don't usually tell you about my day, but I've been seeing the world through our parents' TV. I stare into the void, and this is what I see. We're sprawled out on the carpet, and our parents are saying, you're going to become brain dead someday. But today, I stood at the edge of the universe, and I knew what smallness means. No, it's all clogged with nothingness, enough to rob the air from our lungs. So can't this one moment mean something? 1. Noah, have you started drinking coffee since I left? I don't know what I'm doing in this diner or what I'll tell my professors tomorrow, but today tell me how you take your coffee and I'll get it for you. And you can joke about my head if you want.
Now give it up one last time for the owner of this diner, Mo! We think we find Mo at the Mickey D's Play Place.
Okay, I quit my waitressing job yesterday. Anyways, I came home and I wrote this poem. This diner aches of melancholy, of misplaced yearning for unfamiliar decades. Every seat in here sipping and staring, clapping, calling, or chomping, otherwise freely occupying this melancholic building, hold figures together as one screaming and masculine chain link fence. I can find. I can. What I bring to the table. A half-pressed smile, still young in the back of my throat. One black tie, non-functional, overbearingly mediocre. The entirety of my lived experience, my tired, flattened, and battered knowledge of every facet of this melancholy physical space, every salivating yawn, every allergen, every name, nickname, occupation, every filtered emotion that led to the chip in the floor by table 32, yes, I do have paper napkins. 3 clicks of an candor enough to call attention back to my hands. Earthly and solid, sweating the most humane way. I can climb out of this melancholic diner, take a final breath of cosmic air, and begin the nosedive of returning to the thin and sweet atmosphere of the homely and familiar. Earthly matters. The matters of beauty, slippers of soil, re-emerge in outgoing breath. Carbon, phosphate, direct inclination. Then household pests and rented trees, then back to the bark of a beautiful dog. The small and shivering voice which determines I am, in the back of every step, walk, or gallop. The gift of vision, so long as there's light. Love, which fades, love which grows, love which must be chosen wisely. Heat, of which everything is inherited, which transfers again as the matter of leaves. The click of eye contact, even passively, even correctly, which holds like a dry pill in the back of both our throats. I ache for both and us and we. We are both never and always external. We are composite statements. We are us and ours, the inside edge of silver lining. We are sports fans and peanut eaters. We are Americans or Californians or neurotypical thinkers. We is the self. And I am fluid. I'm a thought and the acknowledgement of that thought. I am anger and the conscious realization. I'm a bookshelf and the books and the pages and the words and the room and the rugs and the patterns on the rugs and the footprints on the rugs. I is a coffee pot under a running tap with enough time it will run clear. Humanness is tight on percussion, 16th notes. Snares as a canvas for wailing grass discourse. Grass as a canvas for sonata vocals of us versus them. It's learning and unlearning simply conceived notions. It's purposely forgotten duality of ending at the tips of the hairs of my arms, or ending at the cringing and scraping thoughts that never form words, or ending at the final loop of the ball of silk yarn which is there whether I am or whether I'm not. Which knocks into itself and through and over, which spills into splintering threads into gut reactions and goodbye waves and preference for strong composition. I quit. devices.
That's a New York gas station. I wander into the sleek chrome hello stacked neatly against the Stardust Highway. I say, hello, how are you? She says, I'll take you to your seat before you interrupt. No, really. How are you? Her face drops to a close, but her curtains widen slightly. She suggests I buckle up for the long haul, so I say, ma'am, that's what I do. I'm a cosmic trucker. I take my seat at the booth, staring down at my black coffee, while caramel-colored bubbles seem to split and magnetically attract to each other, like a flat plane of gravity, planting bubble moms and dads and baby bubbles with bad grades and IBS, and freakishly, they begin to stand still, stale, and pop. What's a baby bubble who never got to be a marine biologist? No bubble school bus or caramel-colored coloring books. What does it matter if not for that snap together? She asks me, "What will you order for your meal, sir?" I say, "I don't regret it, not one bit. I only wish I got here sooner." She says, "One stack of silver pancakes coming right up." I say, "Wait, swap that out for some hush puppies." She says, "You're not making any sense." So I point to the bubbles, the space in the seat next to me, her hand on her neck. Let's look at the heuristics of it. If I'd like to bubble up and sprout just to pop and do it again, I wouldn't have put this hat on and started driving. I would have never been a bubble. She says, "You're acting like that's a choice." By now, my coffee is flat. My plate looks stupid. It's covered in hush puppies, cold black coffee, waitress across from me. "Do you like hiking or surfing or spending time in small towns?" "You're weird and slightly off-putting." Genuine and endearing. My plate looks stupid, like a flat planet with potato asteroids. My cup looks like a space without stars. Where are you going?" She says, "Far past my city limits." "You getting paid enough?" "Depends on if I make it there." "Have you made it anywhere?" "No. I've always made it to the outskirts of town, but never inside. I'll dump my cargo on the side of the welcome sign, only for them to pick it up after I've left empty, opposite, back home." "And where's home?" "Upstate Venus." "I hear the mountains are pretty this time of year." And just like that, you settled my case. Why the race? Why the contract with a boss I've never even seen? She says, "Why the truck, the hat, and rest stops in between? You're here and you're bolted by gravity in the seat across me, and you're there, orders in hand, but you're talking philosophy." "Yes, and we're here," she says. I'm stumped. I ask for eggs. Even weirder, she pulls one out, sets it on the table on a bed of salt and spins it. The salt sputters in different directions and the trajectories atrophy into something random. This egg could have anything inside. It has qualities, but makes sense only for its potential. It can be sunny side, raw, scrambled, poached, gentle, simmered, hatched with no yolk. Right now, you're the trucker, transitive to and fro. Okay, but isn't it us, just as scattered as this salt, no rhyme without reason? Arbitrary crystals just to spill and sweep away? The egg stops spinning and dizzy. We lay. She starts eating my food. I sit in silence. A flash of transience. I sweep the salt into my coffee, and she cracks the egg over the pancakes. "This tastes horrible." "I know," she says. "Why are you still eating?" I ask, "How haven't you finished one singular cup of coffee?" She asks back. "We look weird and off-putting." I can't stop, keep looking. I say as I load my cargo hold with orange juice and coffee pots and eggs and mysteriously every major food. And I take my knife and I hop 16 wheels and I walk back inside. "Delivery for a diner at the edge of the universe?" "You're no trucker," she says. "I'm a strange stranger, and a moron, and a baby, and a bubble, and she's sunny side up, a list of orders, the maybe, the truffle. It's now morning in Eastern Universal Time. There's a table with salt, and hush puppies, and pancakes, and yolk all over, and somehow, in the deep abyss of my love, 2 sips worth of salty coffee start to bubble. and we're two people eating at a booth.
Can all the seniors go up to the front of the stage?
So if you're not going to stay for stand-up, can you please try and go outside as quickly
Stay
as
for
possible?
stand-up.
Let's stay.
And showboating.
And showboating. But thank you guys so